You think you've got my number figured out, a motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. My love wasn't ever a game. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away. But I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same.
Welcome everybody to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. It is, I think, it's presumed, I've been told it is Monday. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Welcome Sandy, welcome Michael Hasser, Destiny Brown, Dakota, Bad Lefty, Bruno, Redmond Berry, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Woke Poly Market Studios. Yeah, place your bets, folks. Thank you all for being here. Sorry for the slight delay. But we are here. We got a lot of stuff to go through, so let's just let's just get into it, folks. Thank you all for being here. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you guys being here, and if you want to support the channel directly, please check out all the stuff and all the things. Check out the Discord, Substack, the merch store, do all the things. Check out my show on this space every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Yes, that's tomorrow. Welcome. Alright, folks, let's get started. We got plenty of stuff. Plenty of stuff and plenty of things. I like it this way. I was on the vertical, but I don't like that, at least right now. What, the shorts? Yeah, it's kind of a new test that I'm trying. I think like the setup kind of I like the display setup on the vertical. The vertical display looks nice right now. But the main one the main one is just kind of a little bit blown up. But it is what it is. Yeah, stuff and things. I do spoil you guys. Let's get started, folks. You're sounding better. Allergies are under control. Yeah, we did it, folks. We got there. We got there. Flonase and Zyrtec, folks. That's the wombo combo to get those allergies under control. At least for me, because it's going to be different for everybody. It's gonna be different for everybody, but the wombo combo is the Zyrtec and the Flonase. Ladybug, hello, frozen from the frozen tundra. Yeah, it's pretty cold out there. It's pretty cold out there. We've got some regular rain, some snow, some sleet. Not you know, not like what people have been experiencing elsewhere, but still. Stay safe out there, everybody.
We do live in two different worlds. It's fascinating to see. It's amazing to see.
Which base? The Democratic Party base or the Republican Party base? Which one do you think is more opposed right now to war with Iran? Which one?
The left. It's not even close.
It's not even close. Exactly. That's the point. And so
No,
if you are going to build, if you're going to build a grassroots people-powered movement with bodies in the streets to oppose war, where do you need to go for those numbers? The left, because they're already there with you. And by the way, the MAGA base, the minute that Trump says we're in a war with Iran, they are going to overwhelmingly back him, because
100%. Like, they'll just say whatever. Like, if Trump tomorrow, if Trump tomorrow says, like, you know, war with Iran is good, then that's what they'll believe. Their little MAGA cult chip will update, and they'll say that war is good. If the next day, Trump says that actually war with Iran was started by Joe Biden because he's the one that did X, Y, and Z, then the chip will update, and the MAGA cult will say, of course this was all Joe Biden's fault. Whatever. Like, it literally does not matter. Trump could literally tomorrow say that socialism is the only way to get America out of the hole that it's currently in, and all those people tomorrow would be socialist. Okay, like that's the type that's the type of cult that we're dealing with. Okay, zero, like actual zero principles. It's just whatever Trump says is whatever that cult believes, and that's that. It was 27 degrees this morning. Sheesh, not that cold here. Is that Cenk? Yep. I stopped watching TYT when they become centrist. It's like she had a crystal ball or something. Sorry, folks, I'll see myself out.
I have
already.
every single
you have
time.
The numbers already.
No,
So
Yeah,
give-
Oof, that was rough. That was rough.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry that I
we should have a beer. We should have a beer with these people, folks, right? Like, let's kumbaya with these people.
have to do this. I really don't mean to be petty, but I have to check in on Cenk Uygur's anti-war coalition with MAGA to see how that's going, because if you'll all recall, he made some really, really bold claims about MAGA and whether or not they'd follow Trump into a war with Iran. And just to refresh your memory, right after the election, he tweeted, "I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election, even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now, MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated." Now, if you were under the impression that he was calling Trump anti-establishment, you'd be reasonable to think that based on his wording, but apparently his optimism didn't stem from Trump himself, rather from Trump's base, who elected him because they thought that he was anti-establishment.
Yeah, so like that's just so bad. Like, that is so not. How could you be a political like analyst, commentator, bobblehead, okay, and not see the problem with that line of thinking, right? It's baffling, right? How could you not? How could you, as someone who does politics, right? Someone who does news, politics, and follows this stuff, and especially someone like Cenk, who that's literally his job, okay? How could you not see the obvious problem with this line of logic here, considering who the MAGA cult actually is and what they actually believe in?
And Cenk officially moved the goalpost to that specific position on January 7th when he tweeted, "I didn't say Trump is anti-war. I said MAGA is anti-war. So we're going to find out soon if I'm right or not. Because if his base says we should spend..."
Yeah, so as it turns out, Cenk was wrong, okay? Like, yeah, there are some people in the MAGA movement that are anti-war, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they'll just follow Trump, right? Like they'll make whatever excuse, they'll make whatever excuse is necessary, right? Like I don't agree with what Trump's doing, like in Iran, but like whatever, you know. Look at all the good stuff that he's done, right? MAGA. So like that's how they'll rationalize it. I ran into someone on Twitter who is a Bernie supporter that I was with in DC in 2016, and she totally went to Trump only because of the trans issue and anti-war. Now she's paying the price. Yeah, so like those kind of people, it's like, okay, well maybe she didn't believe those principles to begin with, to just jettison them a la Anna Kasparian, to just jettison like progressive idea, just jettison progressivism because of just like a minor disagreement or whatever on human rights. I mean, like, yeah, maybe they didn't believe any of that to begin with, right? Like, it's kind of like the same thing with Anna Kasparian, right? Her issue was that trans people shouldn't be in sports. I mean, I could, could you get any stupider than that with all the issues going on? That's what she picks, right? Exactly. Exactly. Right? Because it seems to me like if that's the line that makes you like go MAGA, like perhaps that person wasn't a progressive anyways, right? That person was not a progressive at all. If they're willing to jettison trans people over jettison progressive issues over trans people, then like, yeah, no. No. Human rights are non-negotiable. You know what I mean? Human rights are non-negotiable. The right for people to just live their lives and just be themselves, right? Just be as happy as they can be. That's non-negotiable. Yeah, what good stuff. Groceries aren't even cheaper. It's even worse now. Yep. But that's what they say. They say that the economy's great. They say that Trump has brought in all this money with tariffs and we're getting all these trade deals done that are so good for America or whatever. Like it's all nonsense, obviously, but that's what they believe. And my whole point was like, they'll excuse war with Iran by saying something like, well, look at all the good stuff that he's doing, right? According to them. Soul Life, welcome. How is TYT so bad at this? It's TYT. Yeah, and all she does is complain on X that lefties canceled her.
And even more money slaughtering the defenseless Palestinians just because Trump's donors support Israel over us, then I was wrong. Now, Trump continued to do that and they continued to support him. Nonetheless, Cenk maintained that position for quite some time. On June 20th of 2025, the 8th day of Trump's first war with Iran, he spotted one whole tweet from a now deleted MAGA account to prove that the Max left was indeed wrong about MAGA, arguing this is a person that a lot of the left think doesn't exist. Well, they don't now since their account's gone. I see hundreds of comments like this every day. If that were true, he'd probably screenshot them to prove how right he was. They're real people. They're not lying. They said anti-war. They mean anti-war.
No, they don't. Not all of them, right? Like there's a very small section of the MAGA movement that actually is like anti-war and that just like bought into this idea that Trump was somehow like the anti-war peace candidate. And a lot of those people are starting to realize that maybe they're not MAGA. So it's a cult, man. It's a cult. A lot of those people, the overwhelming majority of MAGA, are just going to brush this aside. Okay? They're just going to excuse it. Tariffs are taxes. Yep. Nadia, welcome. Are these names or medicine?
No, they're not in any cult. They're just trying to pick the least establishment person. He added a huge portion of the radical left.
And like, that's also like an insane position to have. That's an insane position to have, that they're just looking for like the most anti-establishment candidate and then like elect across the board a bunch of like Republicans, right? Like, okay, dude. That's not true. That's not true at all. Even if like it's just not true, dude. A huge portion of the quote radical left, I love this, the radical left really does believe this. They think every MAGA voter who says they're anti-war is lying. Because they are, okay? They're fundamentally not, a lot of them, okay? A lot of them aren't fundamentally anti-war, anti-establishment. They're just pro-Trump. That's it. Talk to these people. Like seriously, Cenk, talk to these people. Okay? The overwhelming majority, it sounds like that because what they say is like, oh, I don't care about the Republican Party. I just want to vote for Trump. That's it. That's the cult, dude. That's literally definitionally a cult. Okay? They only care about one thing, and it's Trump. Okay? If Trump's not on the ballot, the overwhelming majority of these people just don't want to deal with it. Okay? They're not genuinely anti-establishment. They're not genuinely anti-war. It's almost like Trump found out he was called the peace president and it just pissed him off. He's going to talk to Twitter bots account. I mean, that's pretty much true, right? Like, Twitter is just a bunch of bots anyways. Twitter is like a bunch of bot accounts anyways.
Really does believe this. They think every MAGA voter who says they're anti-war is lying. I get why the politicians and media figures might be lying, but what incentive does an average MAGA guy have to make up his position on war? It's not like they're shy about sharing their real opinions. Who are they trying to trick and why? And on the same day,
this is so asinine. This is so asinine. What are you talking about? Like, of course they're honest about their position. Their position is pro-Trump. That's it. It's whatever Trump says. Okay? If Trump says war is good, that's what they're going to believe. If Trump says tomorrow that war is done, they'll believe that. If Trump said that Iran was totally defeated tomorrow, okay, they'll believe it. They'll genuinely think that that's happening.
Cenk called on MAGA to prove the left wrong about them, writing, Trump has given MAGA 2 weeks to convince him to not go to war. He's not going to listen to the left or anyone else, but he might listen to America first.
He doesn't. Not really. He doesn't really care about any of that. Obviously, as he's gone to war with Iran. And everyone warned him about this, right? Like, everyone told Cenk what was going to happen, okay? This wasn't a secret. This wasn't like a hidden secret, okay? Anyone who has like lived in the past 10 years as an adult under Trump 1.0 and during the time where he started his run and what he was talking about and what he did in his first term would know that this is just illogical. Okay? Trump has been warmongering since the beginning. Trump has been warmongering since the beginning, since his first term. Freedom units are incomprehensible. I understand. Trust me, I understand. They don't make no sense a lot of the time. Honestly, we should just be doing like standard like the rest of the world, but whatever. Donald Trump is also trying to blackmail NATO countries to join him in offensive Epstein fury. Yeah, I know, and a lot of them are telling him, no. Oh, I'm not a bot. I troll Randy Fine, Laura Loomer, Mike Levin, and Michael Rappaport. Maybe not really troll them, but try to point out where their hatred is fermenting anti-Semitism. True. Operation Epstein Fury. We call it Operation Epstein Furiously Wagging the Dog. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Judgment Free Zone, welcome.
He's trying to decide between you and the donor class. So if you meant it, this is the time to show you can stop a war. Now, he also...
And again, who cares what the MAGA people think, right? Trump doesn't care about any of that. If we could only cater and please MAGA more, this wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Looney Tunes, welcome. What's up, losers? That's your favorite president, me, currently at the Polymarket Studios with my good buddy Cenk Uygur. You know, he's giving me favorable coverage. I will be on the TYT network for an exclusive interview.
Golden Max left.
It just shows, like, Cenk has zero political instinct at all. Zero political instinct, and probably shouldn't be. If you're this, like, dense, either if you're this naive and not able to see the writing on the wall, even though Cenk has been doing politics for longer than probably I've been around, and you're arriving at these positions, there's only two explanations for this. Either you've been grifting this whole time, or you're just naive. And if you're not able to arrive at the correct analysis based on the information, based on the real world, data, then maybe you shouldn't be a political commentator, right? Like maybe you shouldn't be like up there talking to thousands of people, I don't know how much TYT pulls in, but I'm gonna assume it's a sizable audience, right? Millions of subscribers, and you're doing this type of politics. This is embarrassing, man. Like, I don't know, man. Just if this is the kind of analysis and punditry that you're giving, I think maybe Cenk shouldn't be like doing this. Cenk sounds like those West Roman emperors who are basically puppets to the general.
For questioning the authenticity of MAGA's anti-war views, saying to user I am Sock, yes, driving away the anti-war part of MAGA from a coalition to prevent the war is a much better idea, he said sarcastically. If you call them liars and yell fascist at them, that'll probably work better.
They are fascist. What are you talking about? That's an accurate descriptor. That is an accurate descriptor of these people. Like the MAGA movement, the America First movement is obviously fascist, Cenk. You should know this. America First was literally a rebirth of America First in the 40s, I want to say 30s. That was a fascist movement in the United States. Anyone claiming to be America First is a fascist. This isn't like exaggerating. This isn't untrue. Yeah, several hundred viewers at least, and that's a lot. Okay, that is a lot to be doing this kind of stuff. Is irresponsible. Is irresponsible. Really, is what it is.
Literally can't believe that you're blind enough and tribal enough to believe that. Now, 2 days later, he was still waiting for the MAGA opposition to this war to materialize, and he challenged them to be as anti-war as they claimed they were, questioning whether or not they would, quote, grab some pom-poms and turn into neocons cheerleading for more war or actually pressure Trump to stop it. But while he was waiting patiently for Trump supporters to tweet their opinions at him, people in his replies, like Josiah, showed him public opinion polls that, kind of disproved what he was saying. Not to mention there were also some Trump supporters in his replies justifying Donald Trump's war, indicating their support for war with Iran, but Cenk kind of just put Iran aside and remained steadfast in his optimism and ended up claiming victory over the MAGA-hating Max Left less than a month later, arguing that he had definitive proof that Trump voters weren't in fact in a cult, writing, I had a disagreement with many other...
It's not when you have like 6 million subs. Oh, yeah, oh, that's true. That's true. He votes for Republicans when he said he doesn't. He only met in federal elections. MAGA is a rebranding of the America First fascist movement. Yep, and literally, they use America First. Like, that's literally their slogan. I play Hearts of Iron 4, and the explicitly said if you play with USA, you go down the path instead of continuing the New Deal. Yeah, they said Trump voters are all cult, which they are, and would never criticize Trump. And now that even MAGA is ripping into Trump over Epstein, this debate is over, right? It'd be detached from reality to think they're not criticizing him. They kind of are, but kind of aren't, because like they're still with him. Have you talked to any of these MAGA people? Like seriously. Have you seen like the type of insane stuff that they say? They're like, yeah, whatever. Like there's of the big one that I've seen, and I've literally heard like, you know, MAGA live streamers say this. They don't think that the Epstein files is a big deal, and they think that actually Trump is not really that implicated, and that there's actually no evidence that Trump has been doing these crimes, because he was never charged with any of these crimes. That's literally the logic that these people have said. They said that the Epstein files prove nothing, and Trump has never been found guilty of any of this. So therefore, right? Therefore, there's nothing to see here, folks. It's all good. It's all good and gravy on the MAGA train. So, like, you see how easy it is for them to just, like water off a duck, folks. Okay? Like, water off a duck's back. Easy peasy to just move on from reality like that. You see how that works? And I'm not getting this out of nowhere. I've literally listened to MAGA streamers, MAGA content creators talk like this, okay? Better yet, go talk to one of these people and ask them about the Epstein files and see what they say. The last two TYT big sponsors were Peter Thiel and Vivek Ramaswamy Business. They also push a self-plan now, but I don't know who runs that. Jesus Christ. Ooh. We're going to step into like Alex Jones territory where we're selling like Alpha Brain. I don't even know if TYT pushes for nowadays could even be described as social democratic third-way neoliberalism. Nah. Their TYT cell phone pants are being sponsored by Andrew Yang. So now it's Peter Thiel, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Andrew freaking Yang, the home of the progressives, by the way. Trump, the white hat pedo. Trump hillbilly supporters are so effing stupid. They really do fall for the lies Trump tells them, especially on live social. While I do the Trump true social jokes. Yeah.
Their left-wing hosts.
It's so funny, right? Like, literally, the guy named his social media site Truth Social. Truth Social.
They said Trump voters are all a cult, and they would never criticize Trump. Now that even MAGA is ripping into Trump over Epstein, this debate is over, right? It'd be detached from reality to think they're not criticizing him. But when user I Am Sock pointed out that they were more outraged at Pam Bondi than Trump himself, Cenk accused the maximalist of being willfully blind, and he went on to explain how he had the wisdom and foresight that us far leftists lacked, writing, "Why did I think independents who voted for Trump, another goalpost move, and even some MAGA would break from him on some issues? Because I bothered to talk to them and listen to them. Their politicians are completely full of shit, but a lot of those voters are genuinely anti-war and anti-corruption. And that's why they were so right and we were so wrong." See, they actually took the time to talk to MAGA podcast hosts, who, as we all know, represent all of MAGA, and Anna, for the first time, spoke to a Trump supporter, her neighbor Jeff, who was super nice to her, and because they had these important conversations, they were able to discern things that the hateful left never could have. That MAGA wasn't some monolith or a cult, rather they were a coalition of principled, anti-establishment truth seekers.
That is so insane. Like that is so insane. Oh my god. That is so insane. Oh my god, there's like these two content creators. I kind of like see them as like very similar, or maybe there's like three of them. There's like three of them. I think one of them is like Dean Withers, Parker Gets a Job, or Parker Got a Job, and there's another guy who basically like their main shtick, they're kind of like liberals, but like they're okay for liberals. And their entire shtick, I think Adam Mockler, I think it was his name. Their entire shtick is to go around and like basically like debate MAGA, and actually talk to these people. The whole reason why I'm bringing this up is, for one, it's relevant to the video. Yeah, these people are absolutely in a cult. And for two, I just saw Nadia's comment. I thought Republicans were saying they're no big deal as long as the particular girls were 13 plus. A thing that some of them have said, like literally word for word, just straight up like MAGA supporters trying to justify Trump's Trump and other Republicans pedophilia, essentially. Yeah, so talk to those people and you'll see exactly who they are. Talk to those people and you'll see exactly who they are. I only watched the damage report. No, it's been a minute. And Anna just quit her take. Oof.
Who were a little less mean to them on Twitter than leftists. But bravado aside, reality did start to catch up with the young TERFs little by little. Anna, to her credit, ended up admitting that she was wrong about Trump being a fascist, and she was also wrong to take Trump.
Yeah, Megyn Kelly. That's right. She said that was it barely legal or something? Like, oh, it's not like she was 5. It's like she was like 15. Okay, so like whatever, dude, right? Yeah, Megyn Kelly. It's literally what she said. Not verbatim, but pretty much close to it. She said something to the effect of like there's a difference between like 5-year-old and like 15. It was just, quote, barely legal. Yeah. Megyn Kelly. Apparently, Andrew Yang said he wants to do for data what Mark Cuban did for prescription drugs, but their plans seem kind of expensive. Maybe he means data brokers, since cellular MVNOs gain unique access to data brokers. Israel's going to nuke Iran? I don't know about that. Possibly. I don't know, honestly. Girly girl. Megyn Kelly, the Karen.
Trump at his word regarding Project 2025. Meanwhile, Cenk clung to the few anti-war MAGA chuds that he could find, like Marjorie Greene and Dave Smith and some tweets here and there, in order to prove that he was right all along and the left was wrong. And that MAGA, they weren't as gung-ho about everything Trump was doing as the politicians are, because you see Marjorie Greene and Dave Smith aren't.
And like, again, why is Cenk spending so much capital, so much time, okay, so much political capital to find the good MAGAs that we can work with, right? Like, does that sound rational to you? Does that sound rational to you, to spend all this time and energy trying to find like the one or two MAGA that's anti-war, genuinely anti-war, right? To prove that like we should work with these people? Like, I'm confused here. No, look, if there's people in the MAGA movement that want to leave the MAGA movement, then that's fine, and they should, and they should do their part to destroy the MAGA movement over there. Okay, our job as a project, as the broader left, okay, as the broader left, not like individually, I mean like as the broader left, shouldn't be to try to convince MAGA. Okay, that's not what we should be doing. Now, there may be avenues for certain people who may be able to talk to some people and get them out of the MAGA cult. Okay, fine, do that. Talk to your family, talk to your friends. If you've lost family members or friends to MAGA, and you have somehow an open line of communication that you're trying to pull them out, whatever. Okay, that's great. That's great. But I'm saying, as a general, like, broad project for the left, it's not our job to try to convince MAGA. Okay, it's an exercise in futility. We need to wake up people. Broadly speaking, we need to focus on spreading class consciousness and getting people to wake up to the problem here. It's not to sit here and fight with MAGA 24/7. It's not to sit here and try to convince MAGA, right, to join us. I don't think that's productive. I don't think that's a good use of our time and energy. It's just simply not not our job, in my opinion. Yeah, 15 is still below the age of consent. Barely legal does not mean legal. The money! Of course. Cenk isn't even hanging out with the good MAGA. He's having drinks with Benny Johnson, for fuck's sake. There's a reason why the right sponsors TYT. They think it's good for the right and bad for the left. Yes.
Since they represent all of MAGA, obviously he's right and you're wrong. But when you fast forward to the current conflict and look at the public support for it among MAGA, I do think it's time to admit that Cenk Uygur maybe was
wrong.
A tiny bit too optimistic about MAGA, because as Gabe Fleischler points out, polls show that there is no MAGA split on Iran. Across 3 different polls, YouGov, CNN, and NBC, anywhere from 80% to 90% of MAGA Republicans approve of Donald Trump's strike on Iran. But it gets worse, because Adam Johnson writes, Republican support for bombing Iran was 53%.
Yeah, I've also heard like them excuse Iran, right? Like I've also heard that like they literally bought into this idea that Iran just had to be bombed. Like, yeah, they're totally on board with this. So again, the effort that this man is spending to try to find like the 1 or 2 MAGA people that are anti-war and like look that's who we can work with, is like, dude, it's an exercise in futility. And second of all, it's like it probably tells me a lot more about you. Maybe like if you're trying this hard to find the good in MAGA, right, so to speak, because like that's kind of like what the vibe that I'm getting from what Cenk is trying to say. Like, look, there's some good in here, I know it, and it's taking all this effort, right? And like the most you can come up with is like the 1 or 2 people. Maybe the MAGA movement isn't good, Cenk, right? Like if it's taking you this much effort, right, to find like the 1 or 2 people that are genuinely anti-war, okay, maybe there's not that much good in that movement. So what are you doing, right? Like, what are you doing? Trying to get blood from a stone, man. Holy crap. Just drop it, dude. Just admit you are wrong. And focus on trying to create an actual left coalition, right? If you're actually genuinely interested in doing that, because I'm not convinced that Cenk is interested in doing that. If you want to build a broad left-wing coalition, you don't need MAGA for that. We need to win despite MAGA, okay? Not with them, despite them. Trump flat out said the U.S. is in Iran to free their oil, and the benefit of that will outweigh all the negatives. He said it at least once. Yeah, no, he's also been saying, like, because obviously, like, he says one thing one day, and like the next few hours he'll like tweet something else. But he said that the there's just gonna be a little bit disruption, you know, but it's okay because the long-term gain is gonna be worth the short-term pain. Or whatever. But yeah.
According to
Throwing
Quinnipiac
spaghetti at the wall, exactly.
poll from January 14th, and then it shot up to 85 to 90% after Trump attacked Iran on February 28th. So there is a vague current of anti-war sentiment within the GOP, but the lesson is that it's superficial and easily jettisoned whenever their cult leader goes neocon. He adds, one more piece of context worth adding is this 2015 PPP poll. It found that 30% of Republicans supported bombing Agrabah, the fictional country from Aladdin, with only 13% opposing. Dems were 19% for, 39% opposed.
The fact that like people, holy crap, the fact that people couldn't even like get that, how did you not know that Agrabah is not even a real place? Holy xenophobia, Batman. Holy xenophobia. It's like obvious, it's likely obvious where I stand here given I've been where I've been for the past year or so. Holy xenophobia, Batman.
Of knee-jerk anti-Muslim racism can't be overstated. In other words, Cenk, my friend, buddy, I think it's time for you to fill out that apology form to the max left. It's time for you to take the L. Left. Because if you just pretend like you weren't comically fucking wrong about MAGA, I don't think you can live this down. But if you take the L and you say, yes, I overestimated MAGA's ability to be principled, I think that we can move on. But you were so smug and comically wrong that you can't just like pretend like this didn't happen. They support war. You were wrong and you have to eat shit and admit that you were wrong. Now, listen, in all seriousness, I'm having a lot of fun, but I'm not trying to needlessly shit on the Young Turks because, you know, I praised Cenk with a couple of videos last year when he took genocide supporters to task. I thought that that was commendable, so I give credit where it's due. But I think that we need Cenk's major fucking L to serve as an example for other MAGA curious pundits and even some potential 2028 Democratic contenders that you cannot reason with MAGA, and if you do, we're not going to take you seriously. This is a political cult that cannot be reasoned with or appealed to. As
right, like we're not here to try to like dismember the MAGA cult, right? Like that's not. That is not what the left should be doing as a broad as a broad project. Yeah, Cenk is not going to apologize. I've never seen a fiction, but I didn't know what it was. But if I didn't know what it was, I'd say no.
Cameron bluntly put it on Twitter, I don't know what word we can use to describe these people, but sheep or cattle. They literally have zero beliefs about anything except supporting Trump.
Right, that's exactly what I said. Like, hello, I've literally talked to these people. I've literally talked to these people. They literally just believe in Trump. That's it. That's it. JK, welcome. You should be more worried about imperialists on the quote left who believe the U.S. regime has the right to bomb Iran and any other country that you choose. I don't know if there's if there's any like a big prominent leftists who are of this persuasion. I don't see that being a big quadrant of the quote left, right? Like I don't see big podcasters or big influencers or whatnot talk this way. I'm sure they exist, but yeah, it's I don't see that as a broad left position because it's not.
And believe it or not, that's actually a really important point that everybody needs to acknowledge, because if we don't acknowledge that fact of reality, then podcasters are going to continue to coddle MAGA dipshits, and politicians will continue to water down their policies in hopes of appealing to MAGA dipshits, a portion of the population that is living in an alternate plane of existence and are totally not fucking gettable. And I have to pick on TYT a bit because they were one of the few centrists or populists or whatever they call themselves these days who still feigned ignorance about MAGA when everybody knew it was nothing more than a glorified political cult comprised of empty heads to be filled with the values and principles of Trump's liking. And almost everybody saw it, so the question is like, what took them so long? Even Trump's cronies see it. For example, Trump is apparently giving shoes to his cronies, and they were afraid to not wear them, even though, at least when it came to...
It's so funny, this freaking shoe scandal, man. UIT said Venezuelan gangs are taking over an apartment building. They said the stores were closing down due to theft, and theft not done by the poor, but they were corrected on the record when they were wrong. And they never corrected the record when they were wrong. They were doubled down. Trendy Aragua, Clinton, Obama, and Biden, those aren't leftists. Never, not in a million years would those be leftists. So no, I don't. I wouldn't consider those prominent leftists. Okay. That I wouldn't consider those on the left at all, or even pretending to be. I mean, like, in fact, people like Clinton and Biden and even Obama to an extent were pretty dismissive and anti-left. Like literally, Biden's literal selling point as to why he should have been the nominee or why he should be president or something like that. I think it was actually during the debates against Donald Trump was they brought up, I think it was Trump that tried to paint Biden as a socialist or a leftist or something like that, and Biden's response was, "I'm the one who beat the socialist," right? Like that was Biden's response. So no, I don't think they should be included because they're obviously not the left.
Marco Rubio's shoes. They were clearly too fucking big, but if Rubio doesn't wear them, then he risks offending Donald Trump. And if you offend Daddy Trump, you offend the MAGA hive mind, which you're going to need on your side if you want to run for president in 2028. So do you want to know what Marco Rubio did? He beclowned himself and put on those big ass fucking shoes because he needs to stay in the good graces of the MAGA cult leader because he knows that it all could go tits up for him with a single fucking tweet. He'd get excommunicated like that. But if you're wondering how people as intelligent as Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian could possibly think MAGA isn't a cult as late of 2025 and presumably 2026, it's because they have terminal cases of podcast brain, where they think that MAGA podcasters are somehow representative of regular MAGA voters. In fact, they probably still think that MAGA is anti-war because in one of their latest videos, they talk about how Trump is taking heat from MAGA, but it's just MAGA podcasters like Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan, as if the skepticism of Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly is indicative of a broader trend with MAGA voters. But just take a look.
It is exactly the opposite of what President Trump ran on. Exactly the opposite. And yet Fox News is salivating over the prospect of more war, an extended conflict.
You know, obviously, like me being like the audio file here. The Shure, this is actually a new Shure mic that came out. I want to say like a year ago, maybe a couple years ago. It's not really that old. And I was genuinely looking into a microphone like this. I have like the older version. So this might be an option. Since my original one fried, or I might just keep this one going. But yeah. Anyways, back to the Nazi Barbie. If you have a lot of people who are propagandized, it might be difficult to reach consensus to change articles. Yep, Little Marco is an effing clown and everyone knows it. True. Peace through strength. The theory of class conflict and really the whole Marx, Engels, Lenin style Maoism means it takes a communist revolution to deal with these people, the petit bourgeois and similar. Yes, I agree. It obviously is going to take an actual political revolution to upend the bourgeois, no doubt about it, and that's up to us, the proletariat. The change is not going to come from the top down, folks. Okay. The change is not going to come from the top down. Not like this. Mics can also function as a speaker and vice versa. Yeah. Well, this one functions as a what you're describing is like an interface, right? Like an audio interface. Kind of. This one you can listen, right? You can listen to what's happening. Not just in the mic, but the computer, right? Just like this one. This microphone actually is basically like a audio interface because I can actually put a instrument in this microphone, like a guitar or something like that, and have dual channels where I have the voice and the guitar or whatever instrument plugged into here going at the same time. And I can record that way. So that's kind of like this microphone is really meant for this microphone is really meant for recording, but it's not meant for like podcast. Well, I guess it could be used for podcasting as long as the environment is okay. It could be used for podcasting or live streaming, but like, yeah, when a lot of things are going on, you know, like if there's a lot of noise around you, it's gonna pick up everything. Okay, I'm using a lot of power. I'm using a lot of software to kind of tamper down the background noise and compression and all that stuff. The truth is small bourgeois aren't the ruling class. No, but the entirety of the bourgeois is like, when we say like the owners, right, we're talking like the Elon Musks are the real big fish as far as society goes.
And Lindsey Graham is its spokesperson.
You do be seeing Lindsey Graham on Fox News quite a bit these days. Like, I feel like he makes multiple Fox News appearances per day. He's like sweaty. He seems a little bit manic, like super excited, like salivating over the thought of like.
I was going to say a noise gate could fix that. Yep, there is a noise gate on this too. But that's not a natural noise gate. I've had to plug it in as a filter. Yeah. Megyn Kelly and Kirk had an entry wound because of witchcraft and no exit wound because of Jesus. I don't know how anyone listens to her, seriously. Big business, yeah. If Democrat leaders are not on the left, surely you don't have a democracy when your choice is between Democrats or Republicans. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, essentially what you have is like neoliberalism or fascism. How do you like that? How do you like them apples? So yeah, I mean, I accept that argument. By the way, Megyn is way worse than failing Barry Weiss.
Bombs dropping on the heads of civilians in these Middle Eastern countries, like totally depraved lunatic. And it feels good that for once, you're hearing people who aren't on the left call it what it is, okay? These people are warmongers, and Trump did renege on pretty much everything.
And yet they'll still vote for him. Yet they'll still vote with him, right? Like, so I don't understand, like, again, why we're spending all this energy trying to find the good Republicans or the good MAGA people who are anti-war. This is an exercise in futility. Its evaluation of whether subclasses are historically progressive is contextual, so they were so in casting off feudalism, but weren't under liberal democracy. Gotcha.
Campaigned on.
Yes, because glazing fascists who helped Donald Trump get elected is, I guess, preferable to admitting that they were wrong and the left was right to call bullshit on how anti-war MAGA was.
Yeah, and like, again, like, is Megyn Kelly gonna like vote like more left-leaning because of this? No, she's not. Megyn Kelly is gonna vote for the next Republican who comes up on the ballot. Obviously. Megyn Kelly isn't gonna like stay home and not vote. She's gonna vote Republican. Right, just because a jerk ass like Tucker Carlson has a point once we doesn't mean we should start beating the drum.
From the very beginning. But, you know, putting aside my own pettiness, I actually do think that people like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, they do need to admit that they were wrong about MAGA, full stop. Because this idea that MAGA can be courted and won over is naive and downright fucking dangerous, because it's keeping the Overton window firmly in the right when we need to cut our losses and move forward without MAGA if we ever want to make progress in this godforsaken country. And even though leftists like myself have been accused of living in echo chambers, the reason why I'm so cynical about MAGA is because I know them better than a lot of people. As I explained on a recent Rat on Leftist Mafia, I'm cynical about them because I have them in my family. It's not that I'm getting my idea of who MAGA is from podcasters. I know these people in real life. Okay, this is a non sequitur, but I have to bring it up because it still triggers me. Anna Kasparian and Cenk, how they talk about how, and I'm so sorry, I have to do this. They talk about how, oh my God, nobody wants to talk to the other side. Anna Kasparian's like, I actually talked to my neighbor Jeff. He helped me carry in my
Jeff. Jeff.
Bike, and he was lovely. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean you are like, that's not an accurate representation. You don't live with these people.
Yeah,
you don't
and
go to
also, right? Like, okay, sure, you know, Mr. Jeff over here helped you carry out your bicycle, your groceries or whatever, and he also voted to take away your freedom to choose, Anna. Your bodily autonomy is gone because of that very nice man named Jeff. Okay? What? Yeah, dude, did you know that, like, Hitler one time, like, he helped like this one little girl, like, cross the street? Yeah, dude, that makes him so relatable, man. What? This is insane. This is insane logic, okay? This is insane logic. That nice man, Jeff, okay, voted for war with Iran, okay? That nice man, Jeff, voted for mass deportations, okay? China's claim to be more democratic than Western liberal democracies worth taking seriously. Look at the reality of Western liberal democracy in every Western country. Well, I mean, I'm not very versed on China's political structure, but I can say that ours is hot garbage right now. Ours is pretty garbage. So I can only say that ours is pretty bad. It's pretty grim. That's it's a problem we have to fix. And but before we go on to try to criticize China or whatever, perhaps we should clean up the mess at home, and stop worrying about what's happening in China or whatever. It's not like that they don't have their own problems. It's just, as Bruno points out, it's incredibly hypocritical to accuse China of being like anti-democratic, accuse China of having like a mass surveillance state, a thing that's happening here, accuse China of being like imperialistic. Hello. You know what I mean? It's like, well, let's fix the problems here before we start criticizing China. And like, that's not really like a thing that I'm focused on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to deconstruct or try to figure out what the problems are with the Chinese structure, the Chinese political structure, or whatever. Yeah, Western liberal democracies are just military dictatorships with a plutocratic parliamentary puppet show. It's essentially like distilled. Yeah. I thought Cenk and Anna's point was that if MAGAs were anti-war, that anti-war progressives and anti-war MAGA could exert pressure together to end war. It's called a strategic alliance. Whether that can happen is another question. Yeah, but like, I think that's the point, right? Like, we're saying it can't happen. Why are you wasting time with these people that are... It's not like these people genuinely believe that they're anti-war. Some of them might be. But like, the MAGA movement as a broad thing, it's just literally what Trump says, right? Like, and that's what we were trying to tell people like Anna and Cenk, that this is an exercise in futility, because you're not going to like, why are we trying to reach people that are unreachable? They think like the 2020 election is stolen. These people live in an alternate plane of an alternate plane of reality. They just care about what Trump says. That's it. And like, that's kind of like what we're trying to say. When we're shitting on Cenk and Anna for this, because we know it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. I think we can say with pretty good confidence that like, these people are just there for Trump, and that's it. Whatever Trump says, it's not like that they have like a solid principle, a core principle of beliefs. Not really. It's just The ideology revolves around whatever Trump says, and that's that. There's a good debate going on whether John Mearsheimer argues that the Israel lobby instigated the war, while Berlicht argues that the war with Iran is part of the U.S. strategy to strangle China. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it's both. I mean, whatever. It's pretty clear that obviously Netanyahu wanted this. So it's pretty clear. ¿Por qué no los dos? Well, why not both? Although I don't know if Trump is that smart to realize like how that plays out. I just don't know. When Kellyanne Conway said alternative facts, she meant it more than we realized. Yeah, seriously. The truth that China hasn't invading any foreign country over the last 100 years. Yep, it's spinelessly hypocritical to accuse China of pursuing imperialism. Right, like just like how we can't really accuse China of being anti-democracy, right? We can't really do that as a country, right? Like, not really. As the United States, we can't really accuse China of being anti-democracy. We can't accuse China of being imperialistic. Not really. But anyways, and your favorite president, me, like to know that Ivana Trump, my evil ex-wife, she hit me so hard, is in chat. If you're here, Ivana, get back in your grave right now. Oh my god. Yeah, I think the Vietnam War is, it's not a war we were going to. We're also facing pressure from China. We're also facing like pressure from China.
Thanksgiving with them. You don't have to interact with them anytime a family member's in the hospital or a fucking funeral happened. Like, you don't have to live with these people and suffer. Like, they don't make you suffer. You could say bye, Jeff, and close your door, and you never have to see Jeff again. Maybe like when you're leaving and you see him in the parking lot. Like, you don't have to deal with these people. The people who are the most cynical about MAGA are the ones that have them in their motherfucking family, and that's me. I have them in my family. They're the worst people. They are irredeemable. Their brains are fundamentally fucking broken, and there is no way to repair it. And so, like, listen, I think that we have to figure out some way to bring these people back to reality. I don't know how you do that. I think
it's not our job to do that, right? Like, that's not our prerogative. What we have to do, what we have to do is excise these people from political power and put and make these people go back to the freaking woods, man. There's no point in trying to, like, figure that out. This is not our problem, okay? If these people want to leave the cult, then so be it, but they got to do that on their own. And that doesn't mean that they're automatically redeemed. It just means that, hey, maybe some of them might wake up. I don't know. That may be the case. And again, as the broad left TM, right? As a quote unquote left TM, it's not our prerogative. This isn't our problem to try to flip MAGA, to try to deprogram MAGA. No. Maybe some of us can do it. Maybe there's individuals who are good at doing that. Maybe there's some individuals who are better at speaking to their friends and to their family or whatever, whoever's stuck in that MAGA cult. Sure, okay, and that's fine. And that's fine. It took for Trump to touch MTG personally before it snapped her out of it. Yeah, and again, like, that doesn't mean she's redeemed. And who knows? She might still vote Republican, right? She might still support Republican causes, which are fundamentally what makes no difference whether or not she's MAGA. But whatever. In 1975, the PRC still had a seat in the UN Security Council occupied by the ROC.
We have to start talking about radical solutions, like mandatory education.
We don't have time. We don't have time to sit and hold the hands of people who are about to chug.
Grown adults who did this, right? Like grown adults who made these decisions. Okay, like this isn't our fight or our problem, I should say. At all.
Pasteurized milk. I unfortunately, I think there's a lot of battles to be fought. I'm not going to stop them from shitting themselves to death at this point. So drink all the unpasteurized milk you can get, all the methylene blue that you can get your hands on, avoid all vaccinations, eat nothing but raw red meat and salt excessively, and tons of alcohol to consumption. I don't have time now to fight that battle as well, right? Like there's way more nice people that deserve healthcare.
Yes. We have to basically push them to the side and govern the country without them and do our very best to rehabilitate them. If that means mandatory education, that's what we have to do. Like, I'm sorry, like people...
Mike of the Humanist Report says we need gulags, literally.
For the record, I don't mean gulags.
That's true, chat. You know what? That's a good point on that. I know Looney Tunes. I know you're doing the Trump thing and I'm doing the Trump thing, but yeah, you're right. You're right. If Barelect is correct, then the war with Iran would still have happened under Democrats. Remember that Trump said 3 times that Obama was going to attack Iran to win votes. Yeah, but like we have to take what Trump says with a grain of salt, right? Like what Trump says is worth like kind of garbage. It doesn't mean that Democrats are below. Democrats aren't below the idea of doing this, right? I just don't know if it would have been like this, right? Like I just can't see that the alternate reality of how this could have played up. I don't know. I don't know. It may be the case that we would have just ended up similarly. I don't know. I don't know. These people are effed up and incredibly reactionary. Yep.
Was that convincing? But anyways,
actually, I think maybe gulags aren't a bad idea after all. Letting a fascist speak is dangerous. Yeah, especially if you don't know what you're doing, right? If you're just letting a fascist talk and you're not prepared, that's a really, really dangerous proposition. Okay, that is a really dangerous proposition. That is a dangerous proposition. You're playing you're playing with fire.
And Cenk, if they actually spoke to actual MAGA diehards as opposed to, say, podcasters, I don't think that they would be as optimistic. And this goes deeper than MAGA, right? There's always been this portion of the population in America wandering around with empty heads that they're looking to fill with something, anything, right? Sometimes it's conspiracy theories. Sometimes it's fundamentalist religion. They're just not intellectually curious enough to form their own thoughts. So they seek out entities that'll dictate how they should think for them. That's what they want. And this is not something that I'm just like pulling out of my ass. I've seen it firsthand. I remember a conversation that I had with a family member before they joined the MAGA cult back in it was 2010. It was during my neckbeard days, and we were watching days. This is weird, but stick with me. We were watching 19 Kids and Counting on TLC, and I commented that I don't like this family because they teach to their children young earth creationism, which was stupid. Now, my fundamentalist family member asked me why I didn't like creationism, because even though we were kind of taught that, they didn't know about that word. And when we grew up, we were evangelicals, but we didn't focus so much on how old the earth was. But I explained I didn't like that they were teaching their kids that.
Catch Uber real quick. Well, thank you, Soul Life, and good luck. How much preparation do you need to argue with a fascist? You probably should be well prepared. And honestly, like if it's gonna be like a public thing, you have to make sure that they speak as little as possible. Okay. I mean, like that's just the reality of it. You have to like be so prepared and be ready to just kind of like wrestle with the idea that they're going to try to derail and bring you down to their level, and constantly like switch up subjects and pivot constantly. I mean, like you have to be very, very well prepared to do that. Remember that Chinese writer who's awarded a Nobel Peace Prize and is a violent reactionary and sponsor of neoliberalism and Israeli apartheid? Yeesh. But yeah, you have to be like very, very well prepared.
Because it was objectively wrong. They think the earth is 5,000 years old, and that's just idiotic. Now, do you want to know what that family member I had this conversation with told me? They deadass said, oh, well, if that's what they believe, I guess I believe that too, because I believe in God, and I believe that God created the earth. I mean, I could have just lied, I guess, and given them the correct answer, but it just goes to show you that they have no thoughts of their own. It's just, well, the tribe thinks this, so I think that too. Now, to be fair, this person was already, again, deeply fundamentalist, so they probably already were told that at some point. I'm surprised they didn't already identify as creationists, but again, we never really heard that term.
Yeah, it was
they
only
didn't
a
at
matter
least,
of time.
but it stunned me and it stuck with me because like there wasn't a single shred of curiosity or critical thinking, and it hurt me. I had to like reckon with the fact that there are people in this country who don't want to think. They don't want to think. They're renting out their brains to religions or politicians. And that was deeply disturbing to me. Now, fast forward to today, and the same person who I had that conversation with thinks that Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein are fake news and probably supports war with Iran because they think it's going to usher in the end times. Now, yes, this is anecdotal, but it's generally the mentality of Trump's biggest dick riders, right? This is the rank and file that Cenk was desperately trying to sane wash for some reason. All that Cenk...
Yep. Yep. Bunker Cat is live. This ends before I get back. Do not worry is also live and is for a cause. Nice. Independent 7, welcome. Independent critical thought is hard. True. Very true. Slavishly following social cues that seem to work. Read are more commonly rewarded in more context relative to another's behavior because they tend to support pre-existing authorities. Easy. Yeah, just following orders. Well, my phone and laptop are playing incredibly in sync. Nice. That internet connection must be nice. I can't just blindly follow orders throughout life. Eesh.
had to do was talk
It's difficult
to somebody with MAGA family, and I'm sure that they would confirm that they are indeed insane. They have plenty of stories to tell, right? I mean, if TYT wanted to talk with one of Trump's biggest supporters, I would have put them in touch with my uncle, and Cenk would try to bring up like paid family leave, and my uncle would start shitting his pants and shrivel up into a corn cob at the thought of any person of color or any immigrant benefiting from some kind of support from, corporations or the government. It's just not acceptable, even though he's on welfare himself. Like, the bottom line is that there's no getting through to these people, and it's frustrating that individuals like Cenk and Anna are so dense that they refuse to acknowledge that reality, and this reality is important. We all have to come
Yeah, and again, like, these people are seasoned political commentators, right? They're not just like some dudes, okay? Just some folks in front of microphones like me, okay? Babbling off, all right? These people should know better, and I would argue they do. I would argue that they do.
the same conclusion if we're ever going to survive as a country, okay? We have to disregard everything that they say and just move forward without them the best that we can, because if we keep ascribing intelligence to them and pretending like we can get them on board for some vast political coalition, we're going to continue to let them hold us back. That doesn't mean that you don't try to foster class solidarity among working people, because of course that is the ultimate goal. But my point is that we need to get better at knowing when to cut our losses, knowing when people are just too far gone mentally. And MAGA truly is a lost cause. If you are still with Donald Trump in 2026, the year of our Lord, you are a lost fucking cause. And us fixing the country hinges on the sane Americans waking up and acknowledging that uncomfortable fact of reality.
Yep. Yep. That is true. 1 second, folks. All right, folks, we got a few things to talk about here. The FCC chair threatens broadcasters' licenses over negative coverage of the war in Iran. So, yeah. That's cool. One second, folks. Okay. FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatens broadcasters' licenses over negative coverage of the war. Now, this means general, like, broadcaster, public broadcasting. But yeah, this is an attempt to go after freedom of speech 100%. President Trump, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and FCC Chair Brendan Carr have assailed the media over coverage of the war in Iran. Carr now threatens broadcast license owners with repercussions. President Trump and other senior administrations have lashed out at the press on how journalists have covered the U.S. and Israeli war with Iran. Here's Secretary of Pete Hegseth on Friday. Fake news from CNN reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course, which obviously is not true. Like, They literally didn't think that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz. And here we are. They're just mad because the news is just covering what's happening, okay? regardless of what you feel about the mainstream media. It may not be 100%. It may not be 100%. But I think we can kind of, I think we can clean an assessment of what's happening here. The broadcasters are just being honest. Yep. Fight fascism, friends. We have to do it. Yep. The war on truth. The strait is very much closed. Fake news. This has to be illegal, but I guess they can't do anything. Yeah, of course. This is a direct violation of the First Amendment. You want to talk about like First Amendment free speech? This is literally a free speech issue. NPR's David Vogelnick says the Trump administration is talking tough but making what appear to be empty threats, and he's with us now to tell us more about this. So anyways, the point being is that you don't have to actually follow through with the threats, right? Like, you just have to threaten them, and it causes a chilling effect. It causes a chilling effect, even if you don't even do anything, right? Because the threat of something possibly happening to your broadcast license will be enough. Is geobilization a word yet? Well, the setting, the backdrop is new. The substance of the complaints, Heck says, fascinating enough last week. Early on, he was really upset with what photographers were doing. They were taking snaps of him in the military briefings. That upsets him, so he denied those news agencies access to military briefings subsequently. Then he was more upset about the substance of what was being reported. And as you heard, Hexex was upset about the coverage of the Strait of Hormuz, and specifically about whether or not the administration was prepared for the fact that the Iranian regime would try to cut off access to the strait so that oil tankers couldn't go through and come to the U.S. and other parts of the world. So yeah, essentially, like, what Brendan Carr has been saying is that he's going to try to threaten these media companies, right, over their reporting on what's happening. And this is absolutely a attack on the First Amendment, regardless of what actually ends up happening. Carr said broadcasters are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as fake news. They now have a chance to correct course before their license renewal comes up, and the president was delighted by that. He wrote online that he was thrilled with Carr. He posted that on Sunday night, and some news outlets said said that some news outlets should be tried for treason for their reporting. So yeah, that's cool. Well, if you have the FCC threatening licenses, those are licensed for local stations and to continue to broadcast, so he's limited authority over national news directly. He's complaining about the New York Times, which actually owns no broadcast licenses, no stations. Complaining about the Wall Street Journal. Well, the Journal doesn't own a network, much less any local licenses, but its controlling owners do. That's Rupert Lachlan Murdoch's Fox stations. Complaining about CNN, that's not even in broadcast at all. It's not owned by a broadcast company, but the guy's poised to buy its parent company, or David and Larry Ellison, do own stations. They own CBS. Pete Hegseth said Friday that the sooner David Ellison buys CNN, the better. And that's part of, the logic that we're talking about here. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff happening. It doesn't matter whether or not he can actually do much about any of this. It's the threats that cause a chilling effect, and they aren't happy. There's two things to glean off here. Obviously, what they're trying to do is create a chilling effect. The actual actions that they can take are probably very limited, and two, it's just more confirmation that the situation in Iran is not going well for us at all. It's clear that it's not going well for us at all. The options really are limited. The FCC inspects itself. Congress can pass new laws to address it, or a federal judge can do something. If someone sues the FCC, that's it. Yeah, no, the actions Aaron McCarr's threats don't effing work. He's just lying. Yeah, the actual actions that he can take are very limited. The point is that he's trying to create a chilling effect, and that is fundamentally anti-First Amendment. And number two, it's very obvious that the situation in Iran is not going very well for us. Clearly. We're going to fly through this one. No pun intended. We're going to fly through this one here. Let's queue up this here. More airport disruptions expected as TSA agents quit amid first weekend without full pay. We're doing great, folks. 1 month into the partial government shutdown, hundreds of TSA workers are going without full pay, have quit, while others have taken unscheduled time off, prompting more travel headaches as a winter storm slams the Midwest and spring break travelers try to fly. Ha! Yeah, it's going great. At times Monday, wait times reported at Hatfield, Jackson, Atlanta, and Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport stretched up to nearly 2 hours long. Oh god, these are lines for TSA. That's crazy, Alicia Brown told CNN when she saw the line in Atlanta. More than 300 TSA agents have quit. The DHS has reported in a post on Twitter this weekend. TSA workers missed their first full paycheck since the partial shutdown in mid-February after funding for DHS, which oversees TSA, lapsed and standoff between Republicans and Democrats over federal immigration enforcement reform. Manda, welcome. It's not their fault because they're not getting paid and they're not coming here. I wouldn't either, said Victoria Kilgore. She tried to get her family of 4 out from Atlanta to Punta Cana, Mexico for vacation. You're just trying to buy your time back, have a little piece of vacation from the Matrix, and the Matrix still gets to you. That's kind of weird way of framing it, but okay. The Bundestag, the federal parliament, is nowhere near far enough to the left for me. The CDU is acting just like the Dems, but versus the USA. Gotcha. The centrist news network. In the latter Sunday, the CEOs of major airlines, including American, Delta, Southwest, JetBlue, urged Congress to restore DHS and embrace a bipartisan solution to ensure federal aviation workers are paid during shutdowns. Yeah, this is so great. We're doing fine. So these people are not getting paid, and also, right, this whole war with Iran is making gas prices go astronomically high. So a lot of these people, they're just not getting paid, and with all of this comes all of the rising costs. Yeah, there's no way anyone should be forced to go to work in these conditions, right? Like it's obvious that more and more people are just going to stop showing up because they're not going to be able to handle that, right? Like, how are you supposed to put gas in the car when gas is astronomical to get to work and not get paid? I mean, last topic, I knew someone that used to buy fresh goat milk from a farm, so fresh it was still warm. Yeesh. So woke Looney Tunes is willing to go to court against your favorite president. Bring it on, loser. It's no surprise that hundreds of TSA employees have quit this time around. Everett Kelly, a national president of the American Federation of Government Employees, said in a statement to CNN, the union represents more than 46,000 uniformed TSA workers. Most Americans would quit their jobs if they didn't get a paycheck on payday. Still, many officers continue to work with care and professionalism. Last year, approximately 1,100 officers separated from TSA in October and November. But the reduced staffing is not just due to workers quitting. The call-out rate for unscheduled absences by frontline officers jumped from an average 6% to during the current shutdown, compared with 2% before the government funding lapsed. Officers are just not showing up. They have reasons for not showing up, whether it's I can't put gas in my car, I have to take care of my children. Aaron Baker, the American Federation Government Employees Union's leader, said in Atlanta. Federal employees are guaranteed to receive back pay once the shutdown ends. I've heard from officers who can't afford co-payments for cancer treatments or office visits for the sick children. Many are coping with eviction notices, vehicle repossessions, empty refrigerators, and overdrawn bank accounts. Yeah. All because Republicans want to essentially keep ICE funded the way it is. That's what this whole thing is about. So yep, expect more travel delays, not just because of the government shutdown, not just because of the war in Iran, but the government shutdown. Expect prices and all of this to kind of compound. So if if you somehow plan to take a trip, just understand that the situation is pretty bad. Pretty bad. This was just given to me here. An Afghan asylum seeker dies after less than 24 hours in ICE custody. This is pretty grim, folks. Pretty grim. An Afghan immigrant who worked with the U.S. military in Afghanistan died in less than 24 hours after being detained in Texas by immigration, by ICE. A U.S. advocacy group and a family friend said on Sunday. Mohammed Nazir Pakhtawi, I'm going to butcher that name. Pakhtawi, 41, died of unknown causes Saturday, a day after he was taken into custody outside his apartment complex in the Dallas suburb of Richardson. In a statement on Sunday, ICE described Pakhtawi as a criminal illegal alien from Afghanistan, and his death was under investigation. Yeah, obviously not true. Pakhtawi, a father of 6 who applied for asylum, was about to take his children to school when he was surrounded by masked men who drove up and put him in handcuffs. Ramun al-Azazi, a family friend and leader in the local Afghan community, told NBC News in an interview. His kids started crying and yelling, screaming, leading Pakhtawi's wife to come out of the balcony and plead in vain with agents not to take him away. Speaking to relatives from ICE custody later that day, Pakhtawi, who had no known health issues, said he was not feeling well. In a statement, his family said they were told he was admitted to a hospital on Friday and then told Saturday that he died. That he was killed. He was killed. Afghan Evac, a San Diego group based that advocates for Afghan allies, called for immediate investigation, saying it was not normal for a healthy 41-year-old to die so suddenly in federal custody. Mr. Pakhtawi survived our war in Afghanistan and trusted the United States enough to rebuild his life here. Said Sean Van Diver, the group's president, said in a statement, his family deserves answers, the American public deserves answers, U.S. service members who fought alongside Afghan partners deserve answers. Pakhtawi is the 12th person this year to die in ICE custody under President Trump's immigration crackdown that we know of, compared with more than 30 last year, the highest in 2 decades. And this is just March, okay? This is just March. By the way. This is just March. I said in a statement that Pakhtawi had been arrested in a targeted enforcement action. He had not reported any prior medical history, and said that he was committed to ensuring that all those in custody reside in safe, secure, and humane environments. That's not true. We've gone over several reportings about the conditions of these concentration camps. So that's not true. And guaranteed that this guy is not the only one. In fact, we know that he's not the only one who has died in ICE custody in these concentration camps. So yeah, no. The idea that this is a safe, secure, and humane environment is just not. It's just not true. Yeah, it is very effed up. That's not a euphemism. It's not immigration. It's a euphemism for racial profiling and targeting. I agree. Last Friday, officials said Pakhtawi began complaining of shortness of breath and chest pains while at an ICE field office in Dallas, upon which he was immediately taken to a Parkland hospital. He received breathing treatment, and doctors recommended he stay overnight for observation. Early Saturday, the statement said Pakhtawi was eating breakfast when medical staff noticed his tongue become swollen, prompting a medical response. He was declared dead at 9:10 a.m. after multiple life-saving events. Yeah. Completely suspicious. I agree. They probably killed him. Or they either probably killed him or just left. Well, I mean, it's the same difference, right? They probably just outright killed him, or he was having some onset medical condition that they just let go unattended, and then when it became too much, they tried to get him to a hospital, and it was already too late. So yeah, that's probably my 2 cents on that. In any case, in any case, he died in their custody. So they are responsible for that. According to the statement, Pakhtunkhwa had been arrested twice since the fall. Once September 16th for snap fraud. Oh no, man, what a criminal. And for theft. Pakhtunkhwa's family had disputed the accuracy of that information. As he said, NBC News approached for ICE for comment, but had not received a response overnight. So yeah, apparently, again, like, this is probably not true. This is probably made up. But still, I mean, like, so we kill people for this? No. We kill people for snap fraud? I'm confused. The ICE statement did not mention Pakhtunkhwa's military service. He was an Afghan Special Forces soldier who worked with the U.S. Army Special Forces in Pakhtila province starting in 2005. It was dangerous work, but he believed in helping bringing stability to his country and protecting the people around him. The U.S. government evacuated Pakhtunkhwa and his family from Afghanistan in 2021 amid the withdrawal of U.S.-led forces and the Taliban's return to power. According to Afghan evac, Pakhtunkhwa worked in an Afghan halal market in Daoist area and was the primary provider for his wife and children, the youngest of whom is 18 months. His children adored him, and he worked very hard every day to take care of them and build a future for them in the United States. Since returning to office last year, Trump has severely restricted U.S. entry for Afghan nationals, including those who worked with the U.S. military and their families, citing security concerns. Afghan evac and other advocacy groups say those approved for U.S. resettlement undergo extensive vetting. Watch the sabbatical. Tommy is a really great travel blogger, but he speaks Mandarin because he lived there for all 6 years. Nice. Trump takes the blame for all of it, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he's the one that... anyone from Trump down is essentially responsible, and anyone who approved any of this is responsible. As they wait for answers, members of his community are fearful, said Zazi, who are also working with the U.S. military in Afghanistan more than 10 years. We support this country, we help this country, we see this kind of incident and our families, we don't feel safe. I mean, because unfortunately, they're not, right? They're brown, right? They're brown, presumably Muslim. Yeah, they're not safe. Zazi said the community wants justice, which comes down to one word: stop. They have to stop arresting Afghan people. That's not going to happen, right? Like, especially now. Especially now. Trump is also killing the hell out of children. Yep. That's not going to happen. They're going to continue to arrest people that are brown. I mean, like, it's just that simple. Who's Ben Norton? Republicans want Trump to move on from 2020. Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. Oh, the geopolitical economy report. President Trump is bringing back 2020. Many Republicans wish he wouldn't. I don't know who these quote Republicans are. I'm sure there's people, there's actual like GOP people who are against this simply because like they know this is all nonsense, but because Trump controls the party, they kind of have to like toe the line, right? They have to keep quiet on that. Conversations with nearly a dozen GOP state and county chairs and strategists reveal party eager to move from relitigating the Trump's election grievances, which their word may detract from an economic message that actually motivates voters. Unfortunately, that also is not going to work because what economic message, right? Like, gas is extremely high. The cost of living is extremely high. Wages haven't gone up. So, like, what economic message? Like, y'all are cooked. You know that, right? But anyways, as this is but the president won't let it go, subpoenaing 2020 election records and putting pressure on lawmakers to pass legislation to overhaul voter registration laws. The only thing I know that Donald Trump does not care and will only do what he wants. Yep. As Republicans stare down the treacherous midterm landscape, there is a growing view inside the party that focus on stolen election claims and the voter fraud will kneecap them in the general election. That messaging might play well with the MAGA base in the primary, but it could alienate moderates tired of rehashing the election from nearly 6 years ago. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think you guys are cooked on that one. You know, I'm bringing back 2016 as well as this fake poll company. Forget about that. I'm always one to believe that you should look forward and not backwards, said Charlie Giroux, a Pennsylvania-based GOP strategist and Trump convention delegate who hosted a meeting of fake electors in 2020 at his Harrisburg-based public affairs firm. It would be better if the midterms focus on the recovery of the economy and all the good things the Republican administration and Congress are doing to move the economy forward. Which, again, that's a hard sell when the economy isn't moving forward for people, right? It's not. Look at the state of the economy right now. The only thing that could make things backtrack was his impeachment or 25th Amendment. He broke with Max Blumenthal when anti-vax and otherwise carded MAGA. There was a turf rubbish too. Oh, yikes. In recent weeks, Trump has turned his sights on Maricopa County, Arizona's largest county, subpoenaing records after weeks after the FBI raided the election office outside of Atlanta. He has revisited grievances that the 2020 election was rigged, suggested Republicans should nationalize elections, and is demanding that the lawmakers make passing the Save America Act, which would put in place stricter voting requirements, their number one priority. Part of me understands it, part of me just wants to move forward, said Todd Gilman, the chair of the Monroe County Republican Party in Michigan. Focus on the things that matter to everybody throughout the whole country, or we're going to have a problem in a few months. Yeah, I think, the gray zone. Okay, gotcha. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the gray zone. I'm alive! If you don't mind being surveilled constantly worse than here, move to China. Yeah, I mean, it's not that great here, with regards to that. Trump does have backing from a number of Republicans, including some battleground state GOP chairs who are not only embracing the president's election probe, but openly encouraging his administration to audit their state records as they continue to push allegations of fraud. Yada, yada, yada. So anyways, like, I think that they're trying to say that relitigating the 2020 election just adds noise when they should be focusing on an economic messaging. The problem with that is the cost of living worries are now being exacerbated by Trump's war in Iran, which is driving up gas prices and wreaking global economic havoc as it enters the third week. Third week, folks. Remember, isn't Aaron Mate with the Gray Zone? I saw he hosts Jimmy Dore, apparently. That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me at all. The White House said Trump's efforts are aimed at restoring confidence in elections and reiterated the importance of passing the SAVE Act. Trump is committed to ensuring that Americans have full confidence in the administration of elections that include totally accurate and up-to-date voter rolls, free of errors and unlawful registered non-citizen voters. Yeah, okay. None of that is a problem at all. None of that is fundamentally like a problem that we have to take care of. Not really. Not really. It's just made up nonsense by the GOP. In Georgia, long an epicenter of Trump's repeated efforts to litigate the 2020 election, some Republicans say voters are now largely immune to the issue that's been rehashed endlessly for the past 5 years. Some state-level GOP officials are hoping Congress passes the SAFE Act, despite reluctance from many Republican lawmakers, so it will give them enough cover with MAGA voters, but allow them to avoid talking about election issues themselves. Fantastic. While Trump's stolen election claims may be still a driving force for some primary voters, the general electorate is focused elsewhere, and if Republicans make those grievances central to their midterm message, they risk falling into similar trap Democrats confronted during the 2024 presidential election, when former Vice President Kamala Harris, warning about democracy, won over already loyal Democrats, but failed to sway enough of the swing voters she needed to clinch the presidency. No, that's not, this is not good analysis of what happened. No, this is not fundamentally good analysis of what happened. You've got to at least touch that base, said one Georgia-based GOP strategist, granted anonymity to speak candidly. But once you've got the nomination, I think it really collapses down to economic issues, which again, economic issues don't really fly. Don't really fly when you've got all these problems happening here. That dynamic can create a political conundrum for Republican candidates. A savvy Democrat will put a candidate on the spot and say, "You agree with Trump, don't you?" That makes a mess. Republicans have got to figure out a way to deflect that question somehow in a plausible way that doesn't alienate the loud minority. No, you guys are cooked. No. To say that the Trump MAGA base is a loud minority, I think is as far as like the Republicans go. No, it's not. It's captured the party, right? Like, it doesn't matter if they're actually a minority or not in the GOP. They're the ones running the show. So yeah, no, you guys are cooked. Yeah, it is political. So, you know, we gotta take it with how you gotta take it with a grain of salt in terms of like always having to correct the records here, regardless of what source we take. Are you why are you asking me that question? That's kind of a weird question, Jim. Why would you put your name Jim Smith? Right? Why would you say your name? Why would you put your name like that, Jim Smith? What's that question for? Why would it matter if I was Jewish or not? Seems like a bit weird. It's a bit weird of a question, huh? Trump claims he has an absolute right to impose new tariffs after Supreme Court blow. Why is it weird? I'm asking you a question. If you can't answer a question, maybe you're in the wrong chat. Why are you asking me a question like that? Am I Jewish? What is the relevance of that question? Okay. What is the relevance of that question? Weird. How? Oh, you can't answer questions. Got it. Gotcha. Trump can go fuck himself, Jeff. Another MAGA moron. Don't know why you're here. No slurs in chat, so let's just get rid of you. Yep. I don't know what they expected with that one. Maybe I have to go on Twitch more. They got more trolls over there. No, they don't. Twitch and YouTube has like equal opportunity trolls. They're not even like good trolls. They're not even interesting trolls. Donald Trump has claimed that he has the absolute right. BCAT, welcome. YouTube seems to have way more trolls. I mean, it's probably just because it's bigger. You never see random trolls wander into the chat. They do, trust me, they do. They do. There's just not a lot of them. There's just not a lot of them because like I deal with trolls very harshly. Okay. I deal with trolls very harshly, but yeah, they do come here. They do come here. That's why I kicked a Gavin Newsom fanboy out of the search chat after a pointless debate. I mean, like, whatever, it's fine. These right-wingers aren't even smart at doing it. They're bad trolls. It's so weak, man. It's so weak. It's boring. It's so boring. Like, I can't even make content out of them half the time. Like, I try to make content out of their trolls, and it's just kind of useless. Yeah, once a day, you know. Donald Trump has claimed that he has the absolute right to impose new tariffs, even though he doesn't. That's not the way the president's powers are done, but okay. After the Supreme Court ruled many of the import duties he imposed last year were illegal, the president attacked the court in a late-night broadside on Sunday, accusing it of having unnecessarily ransacked the U.S. and failing to show him sufficient loyalty, because that's what the Supreme Court is supposed to do. In February, the Supreme Court found that the 1977 law designed to address national emergencies did not provide the legal justification for many of the tariffs. And that's that. The administration has scrambled in recent weeks to piece back together its controversial trade agenda to regain an economic leverage. Trump swiftly imposed a 10% tariffs on goods on much of the world under a different law, Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Pact, but these expire after 150 days in July. While the president has vowed to raise his temporary duty to 15, he has yet to do so. I thought the random YouTube at Alar brought enough that they are likely direct harassment campaigns against left streamers. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, because, like, I used to get a lot more. I've just been, like, very good and diligent about just banning them, like, even, and using Posada bot to automatically ban a bunch of people. But yeah, it's possible. I used to have, like, the reason why, by the way, like, the reason why links aren't allowed in chat was because of a bunch of Nazis. So yeah, that's literally what happened. U.S. officials launched a string of trade investigations last week, which set the stage for potential imposition of a new wave of permanent tariffs to take place of those that were repealed. Once the Supreme Court has made these countries very happy, but as the court pointed out, I have absolute right to charge tariffs in another form, and have already started to do so. Said Trump. The Supreme Court's decision did not say that the president had the absolute right to charge tariffs in another form. This completely inept and embarrassing court was not what the Supreme Court of the United States was set up by our wonderful founders to be. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform, "They are hurting our country and will continue to do so." He posted hours before the U.S. officials were due to convene with their Mexican counterparts on Monday for talks over the future of the trilateral USMCA trade accord with Canada, which, incidentally, he was the one that negotiated because he thought that NAFTA was really bad, and then he just kind of renegotiated NAFTA. Nightbot, are you Fossabot in disguise? No, I don't even know if Nightbot's even here. I think I had Nightbot, but the bot's kind of like not really doing much. Posada bot and Restream bot are the main active bots that do stuff in the channel. Restream bot just forwards chats, and Posada bot is the one that does like background moderation to make it easier on everybody, you know. Trump is also to meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at the end of March after an extraordinarily turbulent year for economic relations between Washington and Beijing. In an interview with the Financial Times on Sunday, he suggested that the summit may be delayed, however, while urging strings of countries, including China, to send ships to the Middle East to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The president has continued to use economic power to try to push other countries around despite the Supreme Court ruling. He threatened to cut off all trade with Spain earlier this month after its government refused to give U.S. permission for two jointly operated bases in southern Spain to be used in the U.S. strikes on Iran. So yeah. He's gonna try to force this issue again, because he thinks that he has some kind of absolute power, but he does not. Demanding loyalty from the courts and demanding loyalty from the media. Does this feel like a dictatorship? Yeah, just a little bit. You know, just a little bit, just a little bit. Everyone has been so focused on Keto for America about the Trilateral Commission. So trust me, Trump's working on a plan, okay? Trump's working on a plan to make sure that cost of living continues to be sky high, okay? Trump is laser focused on making sure that you can't afford gas and everything that comes downstream from it. Trump is working day and night to make sure that those tariffs are making your products more expensive. So yeah, how's that cost of living, folks? Okay, Trump is doing his best to make sure that those costs of living continue to rise and rise and rise. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, SCOTUS is full of neo-Francoist, Opus Dei lunatics, and still, somehow, Trump is demanding even more loyalty, like absolute loyalty. Okay, even on top of that, you know, the support I sent to invade your channel, they're just a useless prop to me. Total losers. Does that plan include healthcare? He's about 6 years late on his 2-week promise. That's already been done. Your healthcare costs are also skyrocketing because Republicans refuse to, at the very least, extend those subsidies. So yeah, no, he's working day and night to make sure your healthcare costs are also rising as well. So yeah, that's cool. Don't worry, he's got that on track too. He has not forgotten about healthcare. Patricia Alvarez from Scissoring is just like Donald Trump, except for being a drunkard. Both of them are massive warmongers. Yeah, totally woke. Alright, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. It is almost 8 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. And thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are what makes this channel go. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. I think Kyle said 60% of Americans now skip a meal to pay for healthcare. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. She's missed. She's always missed. She's always missed. You guys are what makes this channel go. If you want to support the channel, check out the links. Do all the things. Click on all the stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays around 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to head on over to YouTube, on this space. I blame the woke radical left. Join my show on this space every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And go subscribe. Go check out all these wonderful folks. Bunker Cat. There's several other folks live as well. Go check out this space. There's a news segment going on, so check it out. Do not worry, it's also live. Look at that. There's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of folks to check out. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. Check out all the stuff and all the things. Bad lefty, they may kill the revolutionary, but never the revolution. Che Guevara. Thank you all. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Alviano, hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Thank you, Crown Level News. Appreciate it. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.